Venerable Maha Sangha, Avasara, and Madam Manori Sinanayaka, all the board members of the Servants of the Buddha, and all the guests today. First of all, let me thank Servants of the Buddha to giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk about the intoxicants and what is today's trends about the local and the international trends about the intoxicants, and what exactly Buddha taught us about these intoxicants. So let me share my slides. I hope you all can see the slides. Yeah, today I'm going to, I hope you can see the slides. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
So today I'm going to talk about the religious discipline on intoxicants as taught by the Buddha. So in my presentation, I will briefly talk about what are the drugs or psychoactives, what is drug abuse, the drug classifications, tobacco and alcohol facts, and tobacco alcohol related health issues, and about cannabis, little bit about cannabis and methamphetamine, the new trend in this country, and effects of heroin and drug related health issues in the first like 10 to 15 minutes. Then after that, I will switch to the use of alcohol and drugs and how Lord Buddha said what he said. I have done little, and the religious discipline of Buddhism. So let me talk very briefly what we understand about drugs or psychoactives. So the drugs are any substance other than food that is used to prevent, diagnose, treat, or relieve symptoms of a disease or abnormal conditions. So drugs can also affect from how the brain and the rest of the body work and cause changes in mood, awareness, thoughts, feelings, or behavior. So these are very important. It can change the mood, awareness, thoughts, feelings, or behavior. Some type of drugs, such as opioid, may be abused or led to addiction. So what is drug abuse? The drug abuse may be defined as the habitual use of drugs not needed for therapeutic purposes, solely to alter one's mood, affect of state of consciousness, or to affect a body function unnecessarily. So that is what you call drug abuse. So when you see the classification of drugs in modern world, now even in Sri Lanka, so drugs can be divided to two main categories. That is legal drugs and illegal drugs. So what you mean by legal drugs means, so there is a legal coverage to produce, to sell, to do business, or to buy it and to keep it with you. So there is a legal coverage. Of course, there is a certain limit, of these drugs where the volume or a limit one can keep. So, but you have a legal coverage to use it. So that goes the legal drugs, legal category. So the illegal is you don't have any legal coverage to produce or keep or do business of these drugs. So in Sri Lanka, in the legal category, you have two main things, that is tobacco and alcohol. In the illegal category, you have the other, all the substance, all the drugs, like namely heroines, cannabis, methamphetamines, and other drugs. But in cannabis, in the Ayurvedic Act, there is a little permission given to qualified Ayurvedic physicians to keep a certain limit of cannabis only for their medicinal purposes. So other than that, cannabis still it is illegal in this country. So if you ask a question, if you ask me, what is the most, the blunder mistake done by the mankind, I will say the legalization of tobacco and alcohol once upon a time. That is the most dangerous mistake done by the mankind earlier. So we are now, because of that, we are now facing lots of troubles in the country and globally as well. So I will just show you a few pictures, what includes this tobacco. We all know, mainly it's cigarettes. There are so many types of cigarettes. Now there are flavored cigarettes, and there are e-cigarettes, heated cigarettes, and cigars, sniffs, tobacco sniffs, shisha, and of course this smokeless tobacco. So countries like Sri Lanka and the third world countries, so where I'm a representative to the Sierra region for this tobacco business in the world. So we are facing, a very big problem due to smokeless tobacco, mainly in our category of countries like Southeast Asian countries, where the Europeans, they are not dealing with smokeless tobacco, but we have a big issue with smokeless tobacco. Then what is alcohol? So from toddy to beer to all the fermented things, you call it the alcohol. So, and what are the drugs? So other drugs. So you can see the first picture. It is methamphetamine, or you said it crystal methamphetamine, or the common name is ice, because it appears like ice. So this is the first picture. The middle one is the cannabis. In Sanskrit, you say Triloka Vijay Patra. So this is the cannabis. Now the big issue in the parliament also in Sri Lanka, because they wanted to legalize this cannabis in the country. And the last picture shows the heroin, the injectable version, and the other version, the powder version of heroin. Those are the drugs, what you call. Now, when we see the Sri Lankan situation, the epidemiology of tobacco, very recently we did the Global Adults Tobacco Survey. So there we found in Sri Lanka, the overall prevalence of tobacco is 19.4%. So nearly 1/5 of Sri Lankan population still using some kind of tobacco. Maybe it's whether it's smoking or smokeless, but 1/5 of Sri Lankan population still using tobacco. That is 3.2 million adults. Out of that, 36.2, 1/3 of male population, and 1/20th, that means 5% of women, they are currently using tobacco. So when you get this smoking cigarettes or tobacco smoking, so our prevalence in our country is 9.1%. That is a very good number. Only 1.5 million adults smokes tobacco. That is a wonderful number, a very good number. We came to As a country, we came to a one-digit number after a very long time. When I get this position as a chairman, it was 15.3% overall prevalence of smoking. Now it came down to 9.1. So out of that, 1/5 of men still they are smoking, but I'm very fortunate and happy and proud to say Sri Lankan women, they are non-smokers. The percentage is 0.04%. It means almost 0%. If you compare with other European countries and other American continent, the still females are smoking, but fortunately our females, mothers are not smoking. That's a good one. But when we comes to the smokeless tobacco, still it's a trouble to Sri Lanka. The overall prevalence is 13.4, 2.2 million, where 1/4 of men and 1/20 of women still consist the smokeless tobacco. These are the brief thing in Sri Lankan situation. And if you see the global situation, the tobacco kills half of its users. And globally, 8 million deaths happens each year. So out of that 8 million, 7 million deaths are caused by direct smoking and 1.2 million die due to second-hand smoking. You know what is second-hand smoking? The person who didn't get the cigarette on his lips, so that is active smoking. So the second-hand smoking is passive smoking. So they never smoke actively, but still there are 1.2 million deaths annually in the world due to second-hand smoking. So the fact is 80% of these tobacco users live in low and middle income countries like our countries. So this is the fact where we have to fight. So that is why in 2003, WHO, World Health Organization, initiated the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. And now up to today, 182 countries have engaged with that. So the main development is Empower, where under this category, we are working to eliminate tobacco from this globe. So these are the risks, the health risks from smoking. You name it, from head to toe, any disease, any non-communicable disease is related to tobacco smoking. But especially, I must say about cancers, there are 18 major cancers. The etiological factor is smoking, one of the etiological factors. So it is very dangerous. We all know about that. If you get once now, we'll see what is the alcohol epidemiology in Sri Lanka. Nearly 28% of the Sri Lankan population is known to consume alcohol during the last year. So 1/3 of Sri Lankan population still consuming alcohol. 1/3, it's quite a high number. Current drinking is reported as 48% in males. So that means half of males populations drinking alcohol still in Sri Lanka, and 1.2% in females, with a higher prevalence in urban areas. So even though we consider as a Buddhist majority, but half of male population still consuming alcohol. It's a huge problem in the country now. So I wanted to put this graph just to show you, if you see the status of alcohol consumption by district, I was thinking before the results appears, I was thinking the Nuwara district will be the most prevalence, but unfortunately, it came as Anuradhapura district, 34.7%. So that is #1 district, the most alcohol consumption, then Nuwara. then Mathura, then Colombo. So this is just to show you our ancient capital and the Puja Bhumia. That city is #1 in alcohol consumption. So if you take alcohol facts globally, there are more than 200 illnesses are directly linked to alcohol use. In 2020, WHO directly emphasized alcohol is cancerous. Any amount of any alcohol is cancerous. So 3.5 million deaths are occurred due to alcohol, and it is 5.3% of global annual deaths. So overall, 5.5% of the global burden of disease and injuries is attributable to alcohol as measured in delays. Beyond health consequences, we all know alcohol is a main culprit or main issue for almost all the violences, all the road traffic accidents, so far and so. The alcohol consumption causes deaths and disability relatively early in life. In people aged 20 to 39 years, approximately 14% of total deaths are attributed to alcohol. There is a causal relationship between harmful use of alcohol and a range of mental and behavioral disorder, other non-communicable disease and injuries. Now the entire world is talking about harmful use of alcohol, but Sri Lanka categorically, now we are talking about harm from alcohol, because we don't have, because we believe alcohol, any amount is harmful. So I don't want to tell, the alcohol related health issues. It is same like tobacco. So you name it, most of the disease, the alcohol contributes to get that disease. So this is a very interesting slide from the NDDCB. I got it. The treatment admissions by drugs. So not the legal drugs, but all the drugs. Then you can see in 2021, the people admitted to government hospital for the treatments, the mostly that is because of cannabis. 1,385 cases reported, and heroin equally 1,364. Then the tablets, the methamphetamine, the ice. Then the tablets, other tablets. Then comes tobacco and other opiums and cocaine and other than that. So this is the fact. 819 admissions due to methamphetamine. It's really a problem now in Sri Lanka, especially among the school children and the young adolescents. So the tobacco and alcohol stands as a gateway drugs to the other drugs. So that is why we believe we have to have a good control about tobacco and alcohol. Then you can control the other drugs, because tobacco and alcohol, and again cannabis, stands as a gateway drugs. So the cannabis facts, if you tell, so as I mentioned earlier, cannabis, there is a legality to the cannabis only for the Ayurvedic physicians, for the drug manifestations. Other than that, cannabis are not legal in this country, but there are a big force even from the Parliament of Sri Lanka to legalize the cannabis. But I am not going to read all these health consequences happening due to cannabis use, but entire world knows the cannabis, again, it causes various health and other issues. Then I just wanted to mention a little about the methamphetamine or ice, or the crystal methamphetamine, which is the trend now in the country, again, among the school children and the adolescents. It's a real problem. And if I say this fact, you will be surprised. Comparing to the last year, now 2021, now if you, the 2022 factors, the methamphetamine availability has increased by 232% in this country. So it is very dangerous. 232% increasement of methamphetamine. So you can see it is a very, very nasty drug, which causes very, a little bit of methamphetamine causes addictions and the memory lost, weight lost, every, all the dental problems, aggressive, violent behavior, you name it, everything, it's due to methamphetamine. It's a very, very dangerous drug. So effects of heroin also, I just wanted to mention. So before that, the methamphetamine users, there is a term called chemisex. So they are using methamphetamine mainly for their the chemisex activities. So that is why it is becoming very popular in adolescents and young adults. So, but heroin still keeping the first in the drugs. Now, as if you ask today how many heroin addicted in Sri Lanka, it is 120,000. So every day 6 new heroin addicted persons will add to that category. So again, it's a very big burden to the health, not only to the health, for other social aspects of the country as well. But at any given moment, we have only rehabilitation facilities for 3 to 6,000 people. So these are the drug-related health issues of other drugs. So then I wanted to switch to the main topic, because why I wanted to emphasize or tell about this little facts about tobacco, alcohol, and heroin, because I wanted you all to have just a slight knowledge and the local and the global situation about tobacco and alcohol. So let's see the use of alcohol and drugs and the religious discipline of Buddhism. Actually, intoxicants sell so well, so do narcotics. Humans have been taught that they are the invariable comfort and solace providers to everyone, equally well to the young and the old. They are today the inseparable status symbols of social elitism. So I have to say that. And alcohol, tobacco, and narcotics play the tune at world level. And the whole world, with the political power wielders who are propped up by them, ceaselessly dance to that tune. We can see even in Sri Lanka and globally. This is unbelievably a perpetuation of crime against humanity, against men, women, and children. So any battle honestly fought against them has necessarily to be a battle in defense of humanity. So then we'll move to the ancient time before Sakyamuni Buddha. By the time Sakyamuni Buddha, a pioneer in the world religions of today, started his religious mission in India more than 25 centuries ago. The Indian culture had propagated the use of high-quality intoxicants in their religious festivals. So in that time, the high-quality intoxicants, they used the word of soma. You can get that word, soma. If you get the word of soma, it refers to the intoxicants. The use of soma in the sacrificial activities of the early Vedic religion is evidence of this. So humans also would have equally well known that all intoxicants give them a fictitious sense of super strength. This is probably why in the creation of divine myths, the Vedic Indians made their mighty Indra, the thunder god who brings about rain, drinks lakhs and lakhs of the intoxicating drink soma before he prepares himself adequately to fight the dragon Vatra, who held the rain clouds in illegal custody. So those are the facts, ancient facts we can see before even Sakyamuni Buddha, the intoxicants were there. So whether through precious religious veneration and association with gods or through a misdirected sense of social elitism, high-powered intoxicants have acquired a very high premium in the history of mankind. So fortunate or unfortunate, it's supported at times also through religious sanctions. Alcohol has undoubtedly come to play a very big part in human life. So those are the facts I wanted to emphasize in this. So in Buddhist teaching, intoxicant drinks or drugs in Buddhist teachings, you can see the alcohol is a chemical produced by fermentation, which suppresses the central nervous system and causes intoxication when ingested. Alcoholic drinks are usually made from fermented fruits and spirits made by distilling either beer or wine. There are 4 main types of alcoholic drinks are mentioned in the Tripitaka in one part. That is Sura, Mera, and Majja and Asya. The Sura was brewed from rice or flour. Mera was distilled alcohol made from sugar or fruit, and sometimes flavored with sugar, pepper, or the bark of certain tree. The Majja was made from honey, and Aswa was made from the juice of the Palmyra palm or the white date palm, and could be either just brewed or distilled. Many cultures have myths explaining the origins of alcohol, often including the notion that it was a gift from the god. That was the belief. But in Buddhism, the Panchasila, according to the 5th precepts of the Panchasila, Buddhists are meant to refrain from any quantity of fermented or distilled beverages, which would prevent mindfulness or cause heedlessness. So this is very important. So in Panchasila, if you see very deeply, so any Buddhist are meant to refrain from any quantity. So this is very important. So in 2020, WHO came to a position. So any quantity of any alcoholic drink is cancerous. So, but the Sakyamuni Buddha's teaching for the lay person, we must observe Panchasila at least. So the 5th precepts, the Sura Mere Majjapama Dattana Veramani, it says we meant to refrain from any quantity of fermented or distilled beverages. Basic Buddhist text of the Dhamma, which deal with the good life of humans in relation to their religious aspiration, for the attainment of nirvana, as well as the codified law of the Vinaya, which deals with the legalized aspect of Buddhist monastic life, deal with this question of drugs and alcohol with equal seriousness. With the lay community, it is the last of the 5 basic precepts of the Panchasila, laid down for the regulation of their interpersonal relationships here and now in this very life. So here I wanted to draw your attention of the 5 precepts. I like to draw your attention to the fifth. So as a medical officer who have worked all my life treating cancer patients, I can tell you that the worst transgression is breaking the 5th precept. So what it says? It says, I shall abstain from consuming fermented or unfermented intoxicants, which are the basis for headlessness. Then the second part of it is, I shall not encourage others to do so. That is the second part. And there is a third part. Third part is, I shall not frequent places where such activities are carried out. So that should be your resolve. So if you see deeply the Attakatha, the Atua, you can very clearly see the Shakyamuni Buddha has classified these intoxicants to 10 categories. The Buddha has classified 5 kinds of intoxicants. So one category is Sura. In this Sura Maitriya, what you call by Sura, Sura has been categorized for five things. That is number one is Pitta Sura. Pitta Sura means the like powder like intoxicants. So it is heroin, it is tobacco powder, all these things comes under this category, Pitta Sura. Then the second one is Poor Sura. The third one is Odhana Sura. The fourth one is Hinna Pakitta Sura. And the fifth one is Sambhara Pakitta Sura, or you can call it Sambhara Sangyukta Sura. So that is unfermented things. So Pitta Sura, Poor Sura, Odhana Sura, Hinna Pakitta Sura, and Sambhara Pakitta Sura. For example, for the Sambhara Pakitta Sura is beetle moment, or the bulat vita, the beetle moment. You collect few things and get intoxicant. The second part is, and the 5 types of spirituous liquor, that is Maitriya or fermented liquor. So there is another word in Pali, Maitriya or Asava. So there is a 5 classes in that as well. So number one is Puppasava. Puppa means flowers, which comes from flowers. Maybe it can be a toddy or from the palmyra, from the coconut. So the Puppasava. Then the second category is Palasava. Pala means the fruits, all the wines, the grapes, the cherries, and all the wines comes under this category, Palasava. Then Gulasava. Gula means, the Madana Modaka, something like medicinal things, the Gulasava. Then Madhavasava. Madhavasava. The fifth one is Sambhara Sangyukta Asava. So we can very clearly see the Sakyamuni Buddha's classification on this Sura and Maitriya. It is, we can see his wisdom. Even today, we cannot, this is the full classification of intoxicants. Even it matches to today this world as well. So five unfermented intoxicants and 5 categories in fermented intoxicants. The intoxicants and the spirituous liquors prevalence today and are wreaking havoc in the society. So in Panchasila, the 5th precepts, because we have to remember there are 3 parts of the 5th, the precepts. Number 1 is, I shall obtain from consuming fermented or unfermented intoxicants. Second one is, I shall not encourage others to do so. The third part is, I shall not frequent places where such activities are carried out. So this is very, very important. Sorry. This is very important to know. So what is Majja? Majja means it's a physical part of intoxicants, and Prama means, Majja Pama means the absence of mindfulness. So Pama means absence of mindfulness. So in the Vinaya, use of alcohol by monks is declared an offense, but it's relatively a minor grade offense. In both cases, the main thrust is on the danger to the sanity of judgment, which humans are called upon to make in their day-to-day living. Should one drink or take in something which impairs one's power of judgment? In Pali, apinuko bhikkhave tam pattabham yang pavitva visanti assa. This is how the Buddha questions his disciples on the use of alcohol. There is not much doubt about the identity of what is forbidden here. The intake of all items of alcoholic and intoxicating drinks, which impairs judgment. In Pali, we say Visanni, is questions. Apinuko bhikkhave tam pabbatam. The word pabbatam, which means to drink, undoubtedly also include the intake through inhalation, like smoking. So like dhumam patum, taking smoke. So you can find all these things in Pali texts. The Buddhist psycho-ethical approach to spirituality seems to go even beyond honestly and look upon sanity and sobriety of judgment as the first and foremost basic requirements for the launching of any spiritual development. The mind being, according to Buddhism, the forerunner of all mental process. In Dhammapada, it says Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. So mind is the forerunner of all mental processes. It is vital to keep one's mind the operational basis of all thinking in perfect equilibrium, in unbased working condition, with its judgmental capacity or sanna at its best. The loss of this capacity precisely refers to us as visan in Pali, or loss or absence of judgmental power. Then there is quite a big note in Jataka Pali. If you take the Jataka Pali, there are several Jatakas where you can come across with this alcoholism. Now, for example, in Dhammadvaja Jataka, about the Chattapani, you can see how the Chattapani killed his own son after consuming alcohol. That is Dharmadvaja Jataka. Then if you refer the Surapana Jataka, you can very clearly read, because of alcohol, the humans are becoming even worse than animals. In Surapana Jataka, very clear evidence. So I just want to draw your attention on Tundila Jataka. Tundila Jataka. In Tundila Jataka also, you can read how the social impact of alcoholism. And in Tundila Jataka, there's a very good saying like Apaim Agaim Anachim Rudim Bhava. So like that, there are so many nice Pali texts. You can read it. Then I must mention Chullanarada Jataka. In Chullanarada Jataka also, there's a good discussion about the alcoholism and how absurd this alcoholism is. Another Jataka I must mention, that is Dubbhava Jataka. In Dubbhava Jataka also, there are so many. Out of Jataka Pali, I read all these Jatakas, and there it's very clearly mentioned how alcoholism or a surapana disturbs one's life, not only one's life, but the entire society. Even some Jatakas, they say they lose their entire country. The Rajya was taken by others due to this surapana. So, and the Nimi Jataka, it very clearly says how Nimi, the king of Nimi, experienced himself when he went to see the hell. He went to see the hell, and he saw how in that, particularly the Lokumbu Niraya, how these people are, how they are getting their punishment due to this surapana or alcoholism in the Nimi Jataka. So when you refer Dhammapada, there are so many evidences where you can get from the Buddhistic, you can get where the surapana or the alcoholism occurs. Now, one good example, we all know about Nalagiri. Nalagiri, what happened and how Shakyamuni Buddha tamed the Nalagiri, the intoxicant Nalagiri. And I will recall your memory in Sundari Paribrajaka. When Sundari Paribrajaka was killed and put under the flower bed, Then the people were drunk and they were fighting each other. So all the stories are in Dhammapada. And maybe you can recall your memory of Superbuddha, King Superbuddha, how he was intoxicant and he was, scouted or doing not good words to Lord Buddha when Superbuddha, and how he went to the hell. Then about the Magandhi stories. So there are so many evidences in Tripitaka as well, where you can see the adinava of alcoholism. Particularly in Parabhava Sutra, there is a very famous saying, Iti duttho suradutto akkadutto chayonaro. Laddhang vinaseti tan parabhavako mukham. So here suradutto means addicted to alcohol, addicted to intoxicants. So it is one path of, draining yourself. And again, there you can see ummatta vigata lajjaguna bhavanti dina sadha vyasana roga parayana cha jata bhavesu vividhesu virupadeha pitva halahala visancha sura vipangyo. So Buddha has compared this alcohol to halahala, the most toxic thing in this world, the halahala visa. So there are so many, evidences you can get from the Buddhist doctrines, and particularly in Singalovada Sutra. Again, I wanted to emphasize the Singalovada Sutra, the Singala or Singalovada Sutra of the Digha Nikaya is generally considered a standard manual on Buddhist ethics for the lay community. This sutta has a special section on the evils of drinking. It says, Chako me Gahapati Putta Adhinava Suramere Majjapama Dattanu Yogi. That is the Pali word. The problem is viewed from three different angles of social, economic, and hygienic considerations, which together total up to 6. So can you see how in Singalovada Sutra, the Suramere Majjapama Dattanu Yogini. So how this consumption of alcohol is classified under 3 angles of social, economics, and hygienic considerations, which together total up to 6. Let us take a look. Item number 1 deals with draining one's economic resources. So it is very clear. We have 1,000 and 1,000 evidences, examples to say the economic resources here and now. Sandittika dananghani, that is here and now. Sandittika dananghani, that is how Buddha prescribed. Second, fourth, and fifth touch on social aspects of life. So the intoxication or the addiction to alcohol and other intoxicant, it's not only harming your physical or your health issues, but it will give the economic, social, and of course, the spiritual aspect of human beings being dragging. So the second, fourth, and the fifth touch on social aspect of life and deal respectively with increase of quarrels and striffers, that in Pali, kalaha Kalappavadhani. Kalappavadhani. That is the Pali word. Loss of reputation. So look, loss of reputation. That is very important. Akiti sanjanani. Loss of reputation and total elimination of one's sense of shame and decency. Shame and decency. Kopina nidhamsani. Kopina nidhamsani means total elimination of one's sense of shame and decency. In Pali, if you can say hiriyottappa, lajja bhaya, shame and decency. So that is all talks about all these things. That means kalhappavadhani, quarrels and strippers, and loss of reputation, akiti sanjanani, and total elimination of one's sense of shame and decency. Kopina nidham san. It is in second, fourth, and fifth. It touched on social aspects of life. Item 3 and 6 handle in turn health of body and mind. So not only body, the physical ailment, but the mental ailments also. Number 3 specifically refers to the body's pronounces to disease through the intake of alcohol. It says in Pali, Roganam ayatanam. Finally, number 6 refers to weakening of one's wisdom or brain power. So that is very, very important thing. The weakening of one's wisdom or brain power. In Pali, it says Panyaya Dubbalikarani. In Panyaya Dubbalikarani, in Singhaluvada Sutta. In Singhaluvada Sutta. For some obvious reasons, the commentarial explanations which are preserved for us today in the Sumangala Vilasini are seen to have been actively holding sway in the Buddhist world from times much anterior to the written world of the commentator Buddhaghosa of the 5th century AD. So you can refer so many the Pali books like Sumangala Vilasini, other readings where it has mentioned. So in Buddhism, it gives in Buddhism the right view or samadhi can also be translated as right perceptive, right outlook, or right understanding. Is the right way of looking at life, nature, and the world as they really are for us. An understanding of right view will inspire the person to lead a virtuous life in line with right view. So this is, I think, very important. This is our Buddhist view. So what is right livelihood? So right livelihood, Samma Ajiva, this means that practitioners are not to engage in trades or occupations which either directly or indirectly result in harm or for other living beings. There is a case where a disciple of the noble ones, having abandoned dishonest livelihood, keeps his life going with right livelihood. It is called right livelihood. More concentrated today, interperception include work and career need to be integrated into life as a Buddhist. It is also an ethical livelihood, wealth obtained through rightful means, That means being honest and ethical in business dealing, not to cheat, lie, or steal. So these are the, our basics. So when you see the 5 types of businesses that should not be undertaken, they are also. So you can read the 4th one, businesses in intoxicants, manufacturing or selling intoxicating drinks or addictive drugs. So it is prohibited in our, if we are living according to the Lord Buddha, so this kind of business is prohibited. So in this 1 and 15 hours time, what I wanted to tell very briefly, there are so many, if you read, there are so many examples I can put, but mainly I just want to emphasize on Panchasila, the 5th precept. It clearly says, Sura and Maitriya. When someone consumes Sura or Maitriya, then he will be Majja or Pama. That means the physically inability and absence of mindfulness. So as a Buddhist, it is a must thing to obtain 5 precepts. So that I wanted to emphasize on that. And of course, from the Jataka Pali and the Dhammapada and the Buddhist doctrines, mainly the Singhaloa, the Sutta. And if you see Buddhist culture and the other things, the paintings, the murals, the carvings, there are so many evidences where the Buddhist society has, disqualified the drinking and intoxicants one from the society. So as a practicing Buddhist, I'm sure you all will agree with me. So our main aim to get the supreme bliss of nirvana, to maintain our peace of mind and the samatha vipassana meditation. So if you are observing this Panchasila mainly, for my understanding, the most, the strongest one is the 5th precepts. If you can obtain that, your path will be very clear. If a layperson's point of view, it is the main reason, I can tell without any hesitation, the alcohol and tobacco and other drugs are the main reason of poverty in this country. Main reason of poverty, because if you see the calculations from tobacco industry, our government is only getting 5% of their revenue. And from alcohol, only 11%, altogether less than 20% of revenue, all revenue, less than 20%, that is 18. But only the disease generating due to tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs, the government health budget, we are spending more than 4 times what we are getting from those 2 industries. So this is the main challenge in economic way. And the other thing, 83% of shares still holding from the multinational companies. In tobacco industry, alcohol also same. It is the main drainage of money, foreign currency from the country. Not only that, we are losing 20,000 people immaturely annually due to tobacco, and 18,000 immaturely due to alcohol. Altogether, 40,000 deaths per year immaturely due to tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs. That means per day, 110, 115 deaths due to these intoxicants. So you can see how important this to eliminate this tobacco, alcohol, and other substances from the society. As per Lord Buddha's teaching, it is evident. You can see from all these Jatakas and whatever I have mentioned, you can see, you can further refer, and you can see there is no even little chance was given to this particular tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs in Buddhist point of view. I thank you so much. Thank you. And it's open for questions or anything. I will answer.